Hi guys, Mrs. Tilis in here. Welcome to another lesson of Algebra 2. Today's lesson is the symbolic form of exponential function f of x equals a times b to the power of x, where b represents our, of course, our constant ratio, and we've already done that one for the past 3 lessons. I think 2 to 3 lessons we have been dealing on how to find the value of b. So we're going to start with finding the b in each of the equations, and then after we find the b, we're going to find the value of a. So we'll start with figuring the b value. That's dividing my 2y, so f of 0 and f of negative 1. I put 0 on the top because 0 is bigger than a negative 1, so the bigger x always goes on the top. And then f of 0 is 5. F of negative 1 is 5 over 2. That is 5 divided by 5 over 2, right? Or technically, what that means is 5 divided by 2.5. Okay? And then, that is a 2. And then I have a times 2 to the power of x. And now that I have my b value, my task is to find the a value. So how do I do that? Here's the idea. Let me write this down. Let's put that finding the a value in purple. So I have f of x equals a times 2, or usually I put the parenthesis around it. Okay, so I have a times 2 to the power of x. I want to solve for the value of a. So in order for me to do that, I need this f of x and I need my y. Or I need my x, I meant. So I have my f of x values here and I have my x values in here. That means I can use these points in order for me to find the a value. Does that make sense? Now, which points do I use? Do I use negative 1 and a 5 over 2? Or do I use 0 and 5? It doesn't matter which one you use, but I think I'm going to use 0 at this time. So the x of it, my f of x is a 5. And then my x is 2 to the power of 0. So that's a 5 equals 2 to the power of 0 is 1. And that is dividing both sides by 1. My a is equal to 5. Okay? Therefore, I can delete that and I say my formula would be 5 times 2 to the power of x. And now that I have my formula, I am now able to solve what f of 1 is. So let us solve f of 1. That would be, let's do that here. F of 1 equals 5 times 2 to the power of 1. 5 times 2 to the power of 1, that is 10. So the missing number there is 10. There you go. We just finished number 1. Okay? Not that bad, right? Number 2. Number 2 seems to be like a lot of decimal values in here. So I will solve my b value. And remember now that you have to make sure that this is a difference of 1, right? The x is a difference of 1. They're 1 unit apart. And then this is also 1 unit apart. Because if they're not 1 unit apart, we need to remember that it's going to be, if it's 2 units apart, then it's a b squared. If it's 3 units apart, then it's a b cubed. If you're a little bit confused of what I'm talking about, please make sure to watch the previous video called the symbolic form or the video exponential functions. Okay, moving on. I'm going to get b value. So b equals f of 7 because 7 is bigger than 6. So f of 7 would be 2097,152. It's just a lot of decimal, yeah? 2621.44. And if I divide that, my b is going to be 0.8. There you go. So that's a times 8 times 0.8 to the power of x. Now that I have my b value, I can solve for my a value. So this is f of x equals a times 0.8 to the power of x. So I can use either 6, 2621.44, or I could use the next pair. But why don't we use the one that is smaller? So this is 2621.44 equals a times 0.8 to the power of 6. So I have to solve what is 0.8 to the power of 6. So 0.8 to the power of 6 would be 0.262144. 262144, and then I'm going to divide that on both sides. 262144, 2621.44. Okay? Oh, 262144. Oh, I just technically copied the one on the top. Okay, round 2. That is 0.262144. There you go. And our a value is going to be 10,000. All right. So I'm going to erase this and I'm going to change that to 10,000. There you go. So we are going to solve for our f of 12. So f of 12 equals 10,000 times 0.8 to the power of 12. Of course, you remember we have to always follow our rule. PEMDAS, we have to do our exponent first before we multiply, okay? So I can't do 10,000 times 0.8. All right, please make sure you have to do 0.8 to the power of 12 first. The answer to that multiplied by 10,000. And hopefully, you will get 6148. So 6871948. All right, there you go. That wasn't that bad, right? Let's move on to number 3. Again, same scenario. We are going to get the b. So that's f of 3.5. 3.5 on the top because 3.5 is bigger than 2.5. The y of 3.5 is 32 divided by 8. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So I'm going to have a times 4 to the power of x. Okay. Now that we have our b value, we are going to solve for our a value. So that is f of x equals a times 4 to the power of x. So I'm going to use either 2.5 comma 8 or I can use 3.5 comma 32. It doesn't matter, but I usually like the smaller number. So I'm going to use the smaller number. My f of x would be 8 equals a, and my x would be to the power of 2.5. There you go. And so I'm going to solve what is 4 to the power of 2.5. So 4 to the power of 2.5 is going to be 32. So divide 32 on both sides. Your a is equal to be, there, is equal to 1/4 or 0.25. So I'm going to delete the a value here, and I'm going to change that to 0.25. All right. And then let us solve for our, what now? Our f of 7.9. So f of 7.9 is 0.25 times 4 to the power of 7.9. And again, you have to solve 4 times to the power of, 4 to the power of 7.9 first before you multiply it with 25. And hopefully, after you do that, you'll get 14,260 263.1004. So 14,263.1004. There you have it. All right, number 4. The exponential function f passes through a point 3, 1687.296 with a growth rate, this is the first time we're seeing this, with a growth rate of 1.04. So if we're trying to get the b value, we need 2 different points, right? And in here, we only have 1 point given. We only have 3, 1687.296. That's because this right here, this one is our b value. Okay? So whenever they say a growth rate or a decay, then that means that that's where you're going to get your b value. There is just a slight difference on how to get the b value if it says decay, but if it says growth rate, whatever that number or decimal, whatever that is what you call your b value. So my b here is 1.04. Because my b is already given, I do not have to solve for it. All I have to solve now is my a value. So f of x equals a times, I forgot to put a times 1.04 to the power of x. A times 1.04 to the power of x. So we are going to plug in this time. I don't have a choice but to plug in this because that's the only thing I'm given. So this is my x and this is my f of x. So my f of x is 1687.296 equals a 1.04 to the power of 3. And then I have to solve what is 1.04 to the power of 3. That means 1.04 times 1.04 times another 1.04. And that is 1.24864. So please also verify it with your calculator, okay? Don't just trust like, oh, okay, it's gotta be that because I said it. But what if I made a typo or something? Okay, so if I divide that, I'll end up with a equals, those ugly number produced a very nice number, which is 1,500. So my a value, I'm going to delete that, is 1,500. So now it's easier to solve for my f of 6 because that's just 1,500 times 1.04 to the power of 6. Again, for the last time, don't solve it as 1,500 times 1.04, okay? It's solving 1.04 to the power of 6 first and then multiplying that with 1,500. And hopefully, you will get 1,897 and 9785. Okay, there you go. So let's put that in here, 9785. All right, we have 2 more examples, but I think number 4, 5, and 6 are kind of like just the same thing over and over, yeah? So what do we do here? Let's do number 5. That is same thing. This number right here is our b value. And so I am just going to put 0.9 to the power of x right away. And I will now be solving for my a value because that's still not given to me. So I am going to be using this point as my x and my y value. My f of x is 177147 equals a times 0.9 to the power of 2. Okay. And then 0.9 to the power of 2 is equal to 0.81. So 177, divide both sides by 0.81. Your A value is going to be, even the A value for this one is not nice. So let's erase this blue A and let's change that to 218.7. Okay. Now, what else? We are going to solve for f of a negative 3. F of negative 3 is equal to 218.7 times 0.9 to the power of negative 3. And we need to remember that when we have to the power of a negative 3, that means that we have to do a reciprocal of that number, yeah? So that is technically 1 over 0.9 to the power of 3. Again, in the calculator, make sure that you do, let's put that in there. There you go. So that's 1 over 0.9 to the power of 3. Make sure, maybe let's put that one. Let's put all the answers in. So 1 divided by 0.9 to the power of 3 is 0.729. And then 218.7 times 1 over 0.729. Hopefully you'll get a 300. Okay? So after you get 300, rest assured that you did it correctly. But again, don't do two. You have to divide 1 divided by 0.729 first, okay? And then the answer to that, you multiply it to 218.7. Because, again, if you don't divide it, you have to always follow PEMDAS. All right, so we did how many examples now? I know a lot of examples. So let's do our last example. And of course, if you feel like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing already, think I can do it on my own, please feel free to just leave the video and do your homework. Okay, so this is, again, this one is your B value. So this is f of x equals a times b. Oh, I still put b. 3 to the power of x. And then this is a times 3 to the power of x. I don't have a choice but to use these points because that's the only one given to me. So this is 567, 3 to the power of 4. Oh, 3 to the power of 4 is 81. Divide 81 on both sides. Your A is equal to, not bad, your A is equal to 7. 567 divided by 81 is 7. So I'm going to put 7 over here. Okay, that's 7 to the power of, 7 times 3 to the power of x. And then let us solve f. Oh, let's put, they're kind of like all together. Let us do f of 2.3. That's going to be 7 times 3 to the power of 2.3. Remember now, you have to solve what 3 to the power of 2.3 first before you actually multiply that by 7. And hopefully, once you multiply those two, your answer is 87.5945. There you have it. I'm hoping that you'll be able to complete the homework on your own. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!